23 minutes before 10 o'clock. Let's go back to your calls on 011-883-0702. Mbija, JD, Stan, I see your calls on the SAPS in Gauteng and what General Khumalo had to say. I'll start with your calls in a moment. I've also been asking you about the spat in the Democratic Alliance and whether you think it will impact the party or, at the very least, John Steenhuisen, because it seems like he's going to be running again for leader of the party at their elective conference in April.
Goeiemorgen, Clemmy, and your team there, man. Flores here from the beautiful Western Cape. Clemmy, this whole saga with Dion George resigning before he could even go to disciplinary hearing. But then again, why are some of the most prominent leaders of the DA so tight-lipped? And if Dion George knew that there was wrongdoing from John Steenhuisen's side, why did he not call it out when it happened? That makes him an accomplice as well. But let me tell you, this race is going to be very interested when they have their election conference. Have a good day, bye-bye.
Yeah, I've asked this very question last year. I said, Dion George, why are you only revealing this to the public now about John's abuse of the party's credit card? But also, similarly so, John Steenhuisen, why are you only revealing the complaints against Dion George from some of his staff members, including complaints of sexual harassment now that you guys are fighting? And I'm not saying that those must not be taken seriously, but take it with a pinch of salt, because they're not exposing each other because they're interested in the rule of law, they're interested in morality, they're interested in ethical leadership. They're doing it because this is weapon. They're using that as weapons against each other. And that is really, really disappointing. And I even said last year, what irritates me the most is when politicians start using sexual violence as a weapon. That is not something we should ever weaponize. But it's become such an easy way to go after people, hey? Isn't it? Let's be honest, it is. If you stand up there and says, Clement assaulted me sexually, that becomes like a thing. There's not, and there was a time as a society where we got to a point where we can't even question that. We can't even say, what do you mean? Okay. Because there was a question that was popular. Do you believe her? And if you say no, you must be cancelled. And I know, don't get me wrong here, I understand the nuance here of how difficult it is for people to go out and reveal that they have been assaulted. I do. But I'm saying we've got politicians. It happened even in Parliament where someone accused Julius Malema of beating up his wife. With what evidence? There wasn't any. But you jump to what? People were now calling on Malema to be cancelled because we are at a point where we can't question. And equally so, sexual violence has been used like that. Cyril Ramaphosa has been accused of that. There are many politicians who have. Why? Because it's become a cheap thing to throw, because you know society is going to pick it up, because it's such a serious thing that most of us are united against. And that is so sad, that sexual violence can be used as a weapon like that. And there are people who know how powerful of a weapon it is, and they use it. If someone has complained about Dion George sexually assaulting them, that matter must have been dealt with immediately. It's not a matter that you expose to the public when you are fighting with Dion George. And that's how disappointing these politicians are. I've asked you about Donald Trump, who has now taken this Nobel Peace Prize from Maria Machado. He didn't even say to Maria, no, you keep it because you worked hard and you were abused when you were challenging the authority of the regime of Nicolas Maduro. He took it because he's always believed that if there's one man who thinks he must get a Nobel Peace Prize, it's himself.
Good morning, Clement and team. I've witnessed ambitious entertainment claiming MT's MTN awards after dropping the Roll Up album. That was sad. That was just sad because he's the one who put in the work, and to have a recording label to claiming those awards after the actual ceremony. It was not on.
Morning, Mr. Manyathela, sir. So the funniest and the most embarrassing moment that actually I've ever experienced is the time Kanye West took an award which was it was going to Taylor Swift, and he said Beyonce deserves it. Yeah, that was the moment for me. I keep on remembering that day actually. So it's like it happened yesterday. So yeah, you know.
Yeah, I remember that moment very, very, very well. So claiming things that don't really belong to you. In fact, have you ever thought about Maria Machado and whether or not she's worked with like somehow the US or Trump administration to go after Venezuela? I mean, as soon as she received that Nobel Peace Prize, the first thing she said was, "This I'm gonna dedicate it to President Donald Trump." So I wonder what kind of relationship they've had before Venezuela was invaded and its president was kidnapped by the US. 17 before 10.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Mbija, you're calling us from Soweto. You want to talk about what General Khumalo said yesterday. Good morning.
Kgotso Mr. Manyathela le kae?
Tshabela re gona le kae?
Re dula ka botsaleng. Wa tsaba wena Mr. Clement ntse o buisa botlhoko ka our South African police. Banna ba go koroka ke am e-hailing driver ne.
Yes.
Go ka berekela area ela ya Amalgam, Forsberg, Joburg CBD, Hillbrow, Brixton. These people, they are corrupt to the root. Early in the morning, they will catch all these foreign nationals. Within an hour's time, they will be releasing them. The same thing again in the evening, they will be doing the very same thing. So I'm asking myself, these guys, what are they doing exactly? Like yesterday, they stopped me. And then when they stop me, they come to my car, and then I open the window. They say to me, "Why are you going?" I'm saying, "Guys, I'm at work. I'm taking somebody to OR Tambo."
Yeah.
No, open the window at the back. I open the window. "Yes, madam. How are you, madam? Are you a Mozambican or a Zimbabwean?" So I'm asking myself, guys, what kind of question are you asking? They say, "No, we are on duty. We're checking these people." So it's sad, my brother. It's sad. These guys, what they're doing, really.
Yeah. So Mbija in Soweto, thanks for your call. So here's the thing, right? You and I as citizens have a responsibility to respect authority. And that's why I said earlier, this is where it makes it tricky. How do I know who's an honest officer and who's not? Because I have no respect for officers that are busy wearing a uniform that's supposed to stand for the rule of law, authority, and the protection of us as civilians. And that's the same person who is in cahoots with criminals. I have no respect for an officer like that. So if we are being told that almost all of them are in this province, who do you know who's honest and who's not? And this is unfair because, one, there are some police officers out there who are honest, who love what they do, and they care about the rule of law. They care about protecting you. And you know what's going to happen to them tomorrow? They're not going to be respected by you. Because you have been told that almost all are compromised, are corrupt. There are some people out there who love their job. I mean, someone has just sent me a clip now of a woman who was stopped by police officers. And this woman says, "Please, can we go speak at the at the police station or at the petrol station? I don't trust you." And they're insisting that, no, come out of the car or open the window. They want to ask her questions. Do you see where we're going with this? We're going to get to a point where the authority of the SAPS is not respected. Men and women in blue are not respected because the perception that exists, as we have been told, is that many of them are corrupt. And that's what I worry. And if that happens, What kind of society are we going to be when we have completely lost respect for our SAPS members? Remember what used to happen in Sunnyside? In Sunnyside, they used to even pelt stones at police officers. There were sections in society who didn't respect police officers. There were videos that used to make rounds. No respect whatsoever for men and women in blue. And I worry that that's where we're going to head towards. We're going to get to a point where we don't even respect their authority when they legitimately stop us at roadblocks. That's where we're going to head to. And that's my worry, because I'm thinking about what kind of society we're going to become post that. JD, you are in the Val. What are your thoughts? Hi.
Thobela Madimeja.
Sure.
Madimeja, you know what? If you were to show me one police officer that is clean in Gauteng, I'll give you a 5 rand note. You understand where I'm going?
Yeah.
So there isn't one. Personally, I was involved in a program where I was trying to rehabilitate these youngsters from Nyaupe. So parallel to that process, I went to the police station and said, guys, we'll help you. We know where these drug dens are. We'll help you clean the streets while we are cleaning these young men. I didn't get any cooperation. I had to escalate this program to the provincial office in Parktown. They intervened and came to the local police station, and they talked to the station commander. Clement, from then on till today, we've never achieved anything because they were not willing to cooperate. So they will go to those addresses that we give them, but what they will do, they will just take money from those guys. So if a person does not cooperate, they will confiscate whatever stock from him and take it to the one that cooperates, that pays them a bribe.
Yeah, that's really sad, JD. Thank you for your call, Endeavour. Can you imagine the morale in the police? I feel sorry for the men and women in blue who are honest about their jobs and they love what they do and they are not corrupt. I feel sorry for them because, and we do this all the time, then you start painting everyone with the same brush just because you have had a negative experience with police officers. Then you start thinking that all of them are. The morale must be so low. Like someone who loves their job, who's a police officer out there who wakes up in the morning, do you really want to go to work? When that's a perception that the society you are meant to protect, that's a perception they hold against you. Spare a thought, because they do exist. Spare a thought for the honest men and women in blue out there who just want to do their job, who are not interested in being in cahoots with criminals. They just want to do their job. But there's a perception. And now there are these revelations that, almost all here are like this. An assessment is made. Stan, you're calling from Boxback. Hi.
Hi, Clement. How are you?
Sure.
Exactly. Look, I'm beginning to actually have a problem with this Mkwanazi thing. The Khumalo Nation, I don't know what is that they've been doing all along. If they knew that something like this is taking place. There are several other incidents that took place in this particular country. The country nearly went into fire. They couldn't be able to detect some of the things quite earlier, so that the police could actually be able to intervene and sort out this particular mess. Right now, they say almost all the police in Gauteng are actually involved in cartels with criminals. How true can that be? They are taking advantage of the fact that majority in the country now, they're actually into this Mkwanazi park. We're not listening carefully anymore. They can say anything. They're fabricating as they go along. And this is totally irresponsible. You cannot actually come up with something like that. And for that matter, understand the superiors in Gauteng don't know about this particular thing. How the heck are they actually operating? I don't believe them anymore. I just don't believe them. They are fabricating. Maybe they want to be in control. I don't know. But this is actually like totally irresponsible. How should I look at police as I drive along in Gauteng right now?
And
totally irresponsible. There's no way you can justify that kind of a comment coming from somebody from the intelligence. That's totally irresponsible. If it's actually true, why were they quiet all along? They've been quiet, and I think they're fabricating some of these stories as they go along. They're fabricating them. Maybe there's an agenda here. I'm telling you, these guys are trying to protect their meal ticket. That's that impression I'm getting now. They're in charge.
okay, Stan in Boxback, thank you so much for your thoughts. Do you agree with what Stan is saying? That now they're taking it too far and making this broad general statements. I asked earlier, what is being done? So if really an assessment is made, right? If an assessment is made, and by the way, General Khumalo has managed to bring about some evidence. I mean, when he was at the Madlanga Commission, some of the stuff that he said, he was able to back it up with evidence. We've seen that. So when they say this, you take it seriously. I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that everything is going to be truthful to the T, but I'm saying they've said stuff before that they've managed to back up with evidence in as far as these cartels are concerned. But when you make a statement that almost all SAPS members are corrupt and compromised and there's an assessment made, the obvious question is, okay, what has been done? So if you know that Clement, John, Tsepo, Tabiseng, Gladys are compromised, why are we not being told that 6 have been arrested? 10 have been arrested. But maybe the challenge is that who arrests them, because it rots from the head. I spoke about General Shibiri. How many witnesses have mentioned this man, head of organized crime in Gauteng? He's still on the job. Not even a precautionary suspension. Yeah, hey? Not even a precautionary suspension. Let's go to your WhatsApps.
Good morning, Clement and 702 team. Salamina from Pretoria. With regards to police officers that are just corrupt, my dad's friend, who was a brigadier, took early retirement because he could not handle the caliber of people that were being hired in the police force anymore. He just couldn't understand how suddenly comrades were now SAPS officials, and they were now given posts in senior posts in the police force, and he just couldn't understand anymore. And lo and behold, look now what's going on. So I understand the frustration of Mr. Khumalo and why he felt the need to come out with what's happening.
Morning, Clement. I'd like to remain anonymous. My ex-husband is JNPD, and he really, really did try to be the good one. But working on the ground for him became so difficult that he actually just opted to go work in the CCTV offices, because that was much easier for him as an honest police officer. It's not easy for the right ones to work on the ground. Like your previous listener said, that they would arrest someone and that person in 2-3 hours is out.
Good morning, Clement. I think the general is correct. He is right. Almost all the police are compromised. Take a simple example of illegal cigarettes. Illegal sale of cigarettes. They know where they are sold, and nobody's going to touch those people. Yes, it is true. Thank you. Bye.
Hi, Clement. I live in Ivory Park, and I can attest to what the gentleman said about the police taking bribes from illegal immigrants in Hillbrow. It's the same in Ivory Park, and I'm sure in most townships. But I'll talk about Ivory Park because that's where I live. So the police are doing this daily, in the mornings and in the afternoons when people coming back from work and going to work. So that's why they do stop and searches and mini roadblocks and collecting bribes from illegal immigrants. 1.5, that's the going rate at the moment. So it's so sad. I think not all, obviously, but most police officers are corrupt.
Morning, Clement and the team. You know, what's confusing is these are allegations to South Africans. Rumors start somewhere, first of all, and these are allegations. This is like based on facts or evidence, I'm assuming, allegedly. However, if it's there to begin with, that means there's something there. So them denying and them like, can they stop making fools of us? Because it's not even about the evidence not even being there. We see the rot happening live as we live, the reality we live. We can see it live that things are not working out. Corruption is alive. So why do they keep denying?
Hanging out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.